All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? It's halftime. This is something, if some of you have been with us for a number of years, others, this might be your first exposure or time attending this, but I don't even, I've lost count. But I think this is probably 6, 7, 8 years, I'm not sure, counting here, where we've done this halftime training. And it's typically one of the best attended, one of the best received, and coincidentally or not, most timely messages that you can hear. So I hope the same is true for today as it is most every other year. And it's kind of a play on words, as you can imagine, because the locker room, I mean, come on, we gotta have fun with the sports analogies, and it is, in fact, halftime, meaning the halfway point of the year. So I like to frame this, and I often use this same example, which is perfectly fine. But let me ask you a question, just a quick show of hands. You can put yes in the comment section. It's kind of rhetorical in nature, but how many of you have ever watched the Summer Olympics on television? You ever watched the Summer Olympics on TV, especially track and field? It's kind of cool, right? I mean, we get a chance every 4 years to see the best of the best athletes do what they do. And if you take, for example, just imagine the 100-meter dash. It's one of, I think, the most heavily anticipated, most watch events because it's like over in a flash and you get to see these amazing human beings running way faster than I could ever imagine um, during the Summer Olympics. But it's electric, right? It's over so quick. And we get to see, like I mentioned, the world's fastest sprinters, but every 4 years. And we don't often get to see, however, what leads up to the race, right? Like being in the gym. We don't get to see them right now today, probably out on the track practicing. We don't understand, or at least I know I don't, what their nutrition plan, their regimen is to have a healthy, fit, peak performance body, right? We don't see the coaching, the blood, sweat, and tears that takes place behind the scenes, the breakdowns and the breakthroughs, if you will. What you and I get to see every 4 years, like I said, is the 10 seconds that they run. And it's easy to chalk it up when we're watching them to natural ability, right? It just comes natural to them. God gave them that gift and athleticism, which is true. But I believe, and maybe you do too, that we can't just discredit all the work and time and sacrifices that also go into their natural athleticism. There's a lot more that goes into it, right? But if you've ever watched, and you can imagine this in your mind's eye, what do you notice each sprinter does at the end of the race? No matter if they're first, they're second, or they're dead last, they're not pulling up short, are they? They're not just jogging, going through the motions. Meh. What do they do at the end of the race? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Unmute yourself, maybe. What do they do right at the end, right when they're ready to cross the finish line?
They
They
stretch.
sprint, lean
Say,
in.
say again.
They stretch.
They
Reach.
stretch, they reach, I heard somebody say they lean in, all of which are exactly right. That's the answer I'm looking for. They lean in. Why do they lean in? Well, I've got to believe it's something to do with they understand what it means to finish strong because they know it's not just how you start the race, but it's how you what? How you
Finish.
what? Yeah, it's how you finish the race. And you layer on top of that things like the insane, I can't even imagine, right? The amount of pride in all the preparation that went into them just being there. Even just making it to the Olympics is a feat in and of itself, right? And they
Hmm.
lean in, they lean forward when they're about to cross the finish line because I also think that they understand, they know they're connected to a higher purpose, greater than self. They represent something so bigger than just themselves on that stage. And so I can't help but draw the correlation. What about you? What are you playing for right now? Who are you playing for right now? What is the greater purpose of what you do versus just going through the motion, running the race itself? And finally, what jersey or flag, metaphorically or literally speaking, are you representing? Is this making sense so far? You guys with me? We don't often ask or reflect these questions. And when things get tough and we're here at the halfway point, man, I think this is our chance to reset, recalibrate, not just where am I, but what am I doing this for? Who am I doing this for? What does it represent, especially during the days that require sacrifice? Or maybe the days that I finished dead last in whatever the race is, and I got the outcome that I least desired. That's when we got to really dig in and find that grit, right? So I say this kind of as a metaphor analogy just to tee things up for today, and it goes without being said. I mean, look down at your computers or on your smartphones right now. We're at the 6 month mark, aren't we? Yeah, we are at the literal halfway point of the year. And I'll bet some of you are thinking what I often catch myself thinking around this time of year of like, where in the bloody heck did the time go? Okay, is that anybody else? Or you're like, how in the world is it already July of 26? Weren't we just celebrating Christmas and the New Year? Like, what? And there's also some of you that are like, yeah, it seems like forever and a day. This year's just dragging on. Time has this elusiveness to it, right? But at the same moment, you can also start feeling certain pressures, certain stress points around performance. Because I believe you're in the right room. All of us have goals, right? You set probably, hopefully, a goal to achieve this year in 2026, this particular 2026 season. And it is incredibly easy to get in our own heads right now and start blaming things like the market or turning on the news and seeing the recent whatever drama or depressing headline highlighting everything that's wrong with today. However, today, we're going to have each one of you assess where you're at with no fear of judgment. Let me repeat, zero fear of judgment. We just got to stare reality right in the square in the eyes, okay? And understand this is an opportunity to have a pattern interrupt, letting today be a chance for you to reset, recalibrate, like I said earlier. Just an honest inventory of where things are now. And then by the end of today, asking yourself, do I like where I'm at? Am I where I thought I would be? And if not, I would ask you, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you willing to change? Right? The second half of this season likely requires you and me to become a different version of ourselves than we were in the first half. Would you agree with that? Okay. Anybody know who Lou Holtz is? Legendary football coach, Notre Dame. And yeah, a lot of people know who Lou Holtz is. He said something to the effect of the difference between a winner and a loser is how you play the second half. Now, obviously, that's in the context of sports. I'm not calling all of you winners or, God forbid, losers. But in essence, right, he's saying it's how you play the second half. That's what separates the good from the great. Or take it from Urban Meyer. And I believe he shared this. I saw it on I don't know what it was, a video or podcast of sorts or something. He shared it with John Maxwell. So if you don't know who Urban Meyer is, you certainly know who John Maxwell is. And he said something like any good coach, I underscore good coach, or team or player, that's you and me, can enter a game with a game plan, right? But what separates the good coaches, good players, good teams from the great is actually what they do at halftime. The great, in other words, are willing to make adjustments and pivot and leave the locker room, literally or today, metaphorically speaking, at halftime with a new game plan and adjustments that are necessary to go win. Is this making sense so far? All right. So here's what I want you to do. Let your childlike faith just come out a little bit. Be silly, whatever. You can close your eyes if you need to, but I want you to imagine right now that you and me, we're running off that field, baby. We are running as a team heading into the locker room together. And remember, anyone can have a game plan going into the game, into the season, like your January business goal planning sessions, but the best make real-time in-game adjustments. Okay? So here we are in the locker room at halftime, and together we get to assess things and lay out a success plan to go win here in the second half of the game. Are you with me? The goal of winning, whatever that means to you, never changes, right? It's just a matter of what we're called to do in order to win. That might change. Translation, you might have thought one thing. You might have had this beautiful handwritten business plan going into the year, and yet certain portions of that didn't work out the way you thought. Heck, maybe some of them you haven't even started yet, if you're being honest. But what I'm getting at is we don't want to adjust the goal. You just might need to use this as an opportunity to adjust the actions or game plan itself. That's what I mean by making halftime adjustments. And remember, all games are decided, won and lost, in the second half. So, do you have the fight, the grit, the tenacity in you to go get the W and put a W in the win column, or are you going to risk finishing with an L in the loss column and blame everything else that's going on around you except for self? That's a question you and only you can answer, actually. It requires some internal processing and real, honest conversations with yourself. But what we have to do, if you're with me and you're committed to going in the second half, willing to make adjustments, willing to fight for your greatness more than for your limiting beliefs, willing to keep swinging, focusing on the fundamentals, focusing on getting the base hits. What other analogies can I use? Focusing on scoring runs, mastering the basics of the game, then I've got good news. Because for today, we've got to look in the mirror and assess. I'm going to help you do that. But you've got to be willing to play all in with me and take this very seriously, because it is serious. A lot of us have chosen this amazing career, amazing path in real estate and serving other people so we can help our own families, right? And so I don't want you to take planning your next vacation or your grocery shopping list more seriously than the plan that we can craft together that funds all of that in the first place. We're going to ask questions like, where am I? Where are you? What is the score? Do you even know the score? Right? And I'm going to show you here in just a second how much time is left on the clock. Do you even know how much time you have left? Today, effective immediately. And of course, I'm going to help you craft a plan. And if you aren't feeling as if you're on track, or maybe have drifted off course, help you identify what those blind spots are so you can get back on track and go get what's rightfully yours. All right. Now, I've got amazing leaders and coaches who can probably all shake their heads as validation to what I'm about to say. For most of us, okay, the gap between your goal and whatever your current reality is compared to that goal boils down to three things. Number one, it could be a mindset issue. Number two, it could be a skill set issue. Or number three, it could be an activity issue. Don't overcomplicate this. It's mindset. You got stinking thinking going on. We got to change that. It's a skill set. Hey, we just got to get better. Can't avoid script and role play and stuff like that. Or probably for 80% of you, it's an activity thing or consistency of an activity thing, like, gee, I don't know, lead generation and follow-up. Hello. Of course, it can be a combination of all. So right now, which one of those three things needs to be addressed so you can go win the season? I'd love, if you're willing to play ball with me here, to see you put in the chat, what is your greatest opportunity? What is the adjustment you need to make right now today? Is it mindset? Is it skill set or activity? Put it in the comment section right now in the chat. Mindset, type the word mindset. Is it skill set or is it activity? Let me see them. We got activity, activity, skill set, mindset, and activity, 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 mindset, activity, mindset, all three, mindset, activity, all three, activity, activity. I told you, it's not my first rodeo. If I took the answers so far, I'll bet you about 80% of the responses are activity. So good news, bad news, you're not alone. And none of us answered this question on the reversal side saying, Jake, I'm perfect, baby. I got it all figured out. I don't need any help. There are no fixes. Of course, I'm being a little silly when I say that, but look to your left, look to your right, look in the comments here. Nobody's saying anything remotely close to that. You got a couple mindsets, all three mindset. Yep. Okay. Mindset activity, mindset activity. That's the big opportunity it looks like. Okay. So as we turn the corner here, a quick word to the wise for some of you that are reflecting right now as I ask you that question, for us to advance together today. I need you to understand this, write this down, memorize it, internalize it, whatever you need to do. Please, 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 please. And I'm speaking from experience when I'm about to share this. This is a lesson. Don't confuse your performance with your identity. Let me say it again. Don't confuse your performance with your identity. Jake, what do you mean? Here's what I mean. Performance is what you do. Do. Underscore the word do. Performance is what you do. Identity is who you are, man. That is who you are. So if you are, in fact, one of the people on the Zoom today and you feel you're behind, that doesn't mean you're a failure or that you've done something wrong. It doesn't become an opportunity for you to label yourself something negative like that. No, 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 no. Rather, it creates an opportunity for you to show who you really are, your real identity, the part that doesn't show up on assessments necessarily. It doesn't show up on a win-loss column necessarily. It doesn't even show up necessarily on a GCI, units, volume. It's that thing inside of you, that internal grit, that X factor, your DNA, and your willingness to step into that greatness because you're not a person that quits. That ain't you. Awareness itself is informative. Awareness itself is transformational. So if we can walk out of here today with a heightened level of awareness, then at least I've done my part, right? The awareness itself is what counts. That's transformative. My mentor, his name is Nick, shared with me how much of success, whatever that is, meaning the real wins, actually happens in silence. Think about it. Now, what you and I see, or maybe contribute to, is it's shared very loudly on things like social media, which is very noisy, competing for attention, likes, comments, all the superficial dopamine hits. But the real winning itself actually happens in silence. Like when you wake up randomly at 3 a.m, when everyone else is asleep, but your passion and those ideas of yours are keeping you up. The real winning itself happens during the late nights and weekends that you're working while everybody else has called it a day. The real winning itself happens when you put in that 16, 17, 18-hour workday and have to get up and do it again tomorrow. Winning happens when you do the little things that never get the big recognition, but actually make all the difference in the world to other people. That's where the real winning happens. So as I tee this up, one last final time, today we're going to reflect, we're going to pause, we're going to embrace a simple formula. Most of you have heard of this before. But I'm going to show you, for most of you at least, if the math works in your situation, that can yield you 12 additional contracts slash closings between now and the end of the year. Would that be okay? For some of you, 12 is like you do that in a month. For others, you're like 12, Jake, I haven't even sold one. We got the spectrum on here, man. But let's remove emotion and judgment. We said this is a safe space, and let logic take over for a second because I'm going to show you, fight me, argue with me, how you're going to do 12 contracts between now and the end of the year, which could yield you $100,000 plus in GCI. And I'm going to demonstrate how there's actually plenty of game left to play if and only if you're willing to commit to the process and maximize each day that awaits us. Okay? Now, we're going to assess reality. You've got to be honest. You've got to know your numbers. I've got a worksheet for you. Today, I'm going to share an example, but later when this is done, I'm going to post the replay. I'm going to post a blank worksheet and a recap of everything that we talk about today in the Locker Room Nation. Okay? But what we're about to do with your participation is reflect on, like what's working, what's not working, what are some of those adjustments. So let's do a very quick, this is where I need some participation, very quick KISS exercise. You're like, what did he just say? Yes, I said KISS. It's an acronym, but not keep it simple, stupid. Here's my first question for you. What is it that you need to keep doing, that's the K, for your business or your personal habits, and make sure you continue to do in the second half of 26? So think back right now to the first 6 months of the year. What is that thing that you can identify that you just need to keep doing? Remember, awareness is informative and awareness is transformative. Antonio says, posting on social media daily, and you guys can put it in the comments or unmute yourself. Either one is fine. What do you need to keep doing and carry with you into the second part of this year? What is it? I know there's more than one response. There we go. 5 to 25, Rashawn. Time blocking for lead generation, Georgia. What else? Consistency. Consistency in what? Consistent lead gen. There we go. Okay. Keep them coming, guys. I'm going to go to the next one. Posting with purpose. I like that. Keep putting out. And by the way, how you participate here is how you participate everywhere. So your willingness to answer my questions in front of your peers and be a little bit vulnerable, that's a good step in the right direction. Trust me. Okay. 7 conversations daily, sticking to a schedule and completing tasks. Love it. Keep them coming. Here's my next question. So that was the K as we reflect and KISS the first half of the year. The I represents intentionality. So here's the question. Think back to the first 6 months. What is that thing you can think of right now that you need to be more intentional about regarding your business or personal production habits heading into the second half of this year? What do you need to lean into a little bit more and dial up with an extra degree of intentionality? I got income producing activities, social media with integrated lead gen, prospecting, asking for the business and following up, lead generation, building relationships, lead generation during blocked time, refining a buyer and seller consults. Love that. Lead gen and follow-up. Lead gen. Sound familiar? Building relationships. Lead gen. Listening to people's needs. That's a great one. Joanna, lead gen and marketing. Jeannie, follow-up. Okay. All of you, I hope you're writing these answers down. This is your moment, right? Because later you get to figure out what am I going to do about it? How do I solve for X? Okay. So we got the K, that stands for keep. We got the I, that stands for what do I need to be more intentional about? Let's go to the first S in the equation, which you can probably guess by now. It's stop. So here's my question to you. Looking back at the first 6 months of this year, what is it you need to stop doing in your business or your personal habits that is no longer serving you? Therefore, it cannot stay with you as we go into the second half of the year. It ends now. What is it? Jeannie, allowing distractions, procrastination, distractions. Stop, stop saying yes to everything. Ooh, stop second guessing myself. Stop saying yes to what isn't giving me an ROI. Negative self-talk, fear, scrolling, trying to do everything perfectly as a newer agent. Yeah. Stop self-doubt. Stop being too comfortable based on the first 6 months. Yep. Distractions, set hours, scrolling on Twitter, getting comfortable rather. Stop getting distracted. I love you guys. Thanks for playing all in with me, by the way. Thanks for sharing this. Um, I see. Stop sitting on my butt and go into the office more and learn from associates. Heck yeah, Jeff. Stop dwelling on the negative first half. Stop doing the cute stuff. All right, I'm digging it, guys. Thank you. No judgment. This is a safe space. We're in the locker room. We're a team. Here's my last and final question. Think back to the first half of this year, as you've been doing. What do you need to start doing? This is a chance to call yourself out. What do you need to start doing now in your business, or maybe it's a personal habit, effective immediately as you head into now the second half of this year? What's the start? Commit to a morning routine. Commit to goals and schedule planning time. Start doing the boring stuff. Oh, it's so good. Meaning the repetition. Yeah. Spending time in public in front of humans. Get out from behind the computer, right? Setting boundaries. Oh my goodness. Yes. Start having a consistent social media presence. Start being more visible in the office. Being more intentional about growing my business. Start building relationships for future pipeline. Start nurturing relationships. Yes, 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 yes. And by the way, part of the advantage of sharing, you guys can scroll up if you need to, reach out to a peer. Better yet, if it's somebody you don't know in your market. If you see Katrina, who said being more visible in the office, and that's something that you thought or said, freaking reach out to each other. Be each other's accountability buddies. That's how this thing should work. The names are listed there. Start focusing on the future. Start being laser focused on the goal and not the result. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. Hopefully you did this, whether you shared or you're writing it down or processing internally. Start being more consistent in talking real estate everywhere with everybody. Love it. So what I just asked you and zoomed through there in about 5 minutes or so, don't overlook those really simple questions and yet very profound questions if you're honest with yourself. Remember, KISS, kiss it. Kiss the first half, kiss the last quarter, kiss the month, kiss the week, kiss the day. You can apply this to anything because that is a simple method to study your prior game film and then make those halftime adjustments, if you will, to go be that much better, that much more sharp next time. That's what we're doing here. Those military, thank you, by the way, if that's you for your service. You might be familiar with AAR. It's our business version of doing an after action review. That's what we just did. Okay. Now, let's bring it back. As I've said 2 times already, great players, great teams, great whatever, franchises, always know the score and how much time is left on the clock. They're playing the game with an intimate understanding of what's going on versus just sitting on the sidelines watching the game be played. Like some of you have seen that thing, like unless you're in the arena getting your you know what kicked, I don't want to hear from you. That's kind of a little bit about what I'm talking about here. But if you seriously think about the great, let's take basketball, okay? Michael Jordan, um, Caitlin Clark, right? Kobe Bryant, they have situational awareness, don't they? I mean, unbelievably talented, but there's also another just something about them that they've got this sense, this awareness of every situation to that's going on in the game to where they can make those real-time adjustments. And what about you? Are we playing to be good or are we playing to be great? Do you know what game you're even playing? Okay. So write this down. I'm going to tell you how much time is left on the clock, and then we're going to go through a mock example so you can do yours later. Write this down. As of today, some of you know every year I do this because it's just kind of fun. Today is July 7th, 2026. So recording, it's July 7th, 2026. Mark that time. Effective today, there are 176 days left in the year. Did you know that? That's the equivalent of how much time is left on the clock. We got 176 days left in this calendar year. Oh, by the way, of those 176 days, write this number down. 122 of those are working days. 122 working days. Jake, how did you arrive at that number? Well, laugh at me all you want, but just humor me. I gave you 25 Saturdays off. I gave you 25 Sundays off. And you're welcome. I'm giving you 5 federal holidays off. That is what is in front of us between now and end of year. 122 working days if we just did a traditional Monday through Friday, and I'm giving you weekends and holidays off. How about them apples, huh? Yeah. Okay. One last piece to write down. So 176, 122 working days, 25 Saturdays, 25 Sundays off, 5 federal holidays off. That leaves me back to those 122 working days. Take 122 multiplied by an 8-hour workday. Just, again, humor me. I understand. Sometimes we put in more than that. What does that give you? 122 multiplied by 8. How many hours, how many working hours do I have left between now and the end of the year? Anybody know? Get your calculators out. Yep, there it is. Thank you, Joanna, Jacqueline, Martina. That's the number, 976. 976 working hours left. Okay? So what I want us to do is go into July, where it's already time, right? Acting as if it was January 1st. Remember that excitement? Remember that feeling of empowerment that you might have had kicking off the new year, new me, New Year's resolutions, woohoo. I want that same kind of energy right now. What if the 122 remaining working days was day one? Ground zero. Fresh start. And here's where many of you have heard this before, and you actually did your 5 to 25. You actually spoke to 5 people every day for those 122 remaining working days. What if you actually did it? Not kind of did it. What if you actually did it? Here's what I shall do with you next. Screen share time. And yes, before anybody asks, this is going to be available in addition to a blank version. So you can do it for your business. Let's go. Okay, Kevin, thumbs up. Can you see my screen? You got it. Oh, thank you. So again, I'm running you through an example. So later when it's your turn on a blank version of this, you can do yours. And if you want to do it on a scratch pad, by all means, go for it. I'm going to pretend as if I'm you, an agent. I'm going to assume I have a $300,000 average sales price and my average commish, I get it, disclaimer, 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 it's always negotiable, blah, 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 is 2.75%. Therefore, important data, my average GCI per transaction is $82.50. Okay? So based on those assumptions, and you would put yours there for your own business, now I can do some math. Let's pretend I entered 2026 with a goal of doing $150,000 of gross commission income, which equates to about $5.4 million of closed sales volume, which represents about 18 closed transactions, right? I'm using this data above to come up with those numbers, and you'll have your chance to do it too. So based on those assumptions of how I entered this year, I had already set these goals for myself 6+ months ago. Now I turn my attention to the current reality. Where am I now in comparison to said goals? This is where you're going to write, like mine, how much GCI have I closed year to date? In my case, I'm going to just pretend I did $49,500. Well, how much closed sales volume have I done year to date? In my example, I'm going to say 1.8 million of my goal of 5.4. And finally, I've closed 6 homes year to date out of an ultimate goal of 18. You see what I'm doing so far? Pretty straightforward. But this is why you need to know your numbers and run your business like a business. Because if you have no idea, that's blind spot number one. Okay. Now, and PS, get with your leadership, get with whoever you need to, pull the reports, because I promise you this information exists. Secondly, bump down to the units. Now, why do we focus on units? This is just a personal preference of mine, to each their own, but translating to baseball for a minute, if I'm winning 10-1 and it's the 7th inning in a 9-inning game, I'm going to turn to my team and say, guys, we're playing for outs. If we give up a run here and there, no big deal. We're up big. We're just playing for outs, playing for outs. I see units the same way. It's in my view, the thing to focus on that's also the most within your control. Because if I hit my unit goal, odds are I'm going to hit everything else. But if I don't, it still leaves enough buffer that I can still hit my volume or my GCI goal in the event that maybe I took a $500,000 listing when I was calculating my average was 300,000. Like there's some wiggle room in there, but if I just focus on the units and go hit my unit mark, generally that takes care of everything else. Okay? So that's why I'm choosing to focus on the units in today's example. So what you're going to do, like I did, is just do some simple math. 6 divided into 18. Another way of saying it is I am currently at 33% of goal when looking at my units. 6 divided into 18, yep, I'm 33% of the way there. Now here's where I'm going to tap into some of you who said mindset as your answer earlier. This is not meant to be a tripwire question of any kind, but right now, where would you say you are? The temptation for me, if this is similar to yours, is to say, well, of course, I'm underperforming. Or some of you might have literally said, Jake, I'm behind my goal. It's halfway point in the year. Common sense would tell me I should be halfway to my goal, right? Wrong. Or at least not necessarily. Now, this is where I'm going to rattle some cages for a second. Did you hear what I just said? It is not so even Steven, ladies and gentlemen. No, no, no. Just because it's halfway to the year doesn't necessarily mean you're behind if you're not currently halfway to goal. Follow me here. What we need to understand first, as we break this down, how many homes did you close in Q1? I see it as I've got 4 different chances, 4 games going on within the game. In my example, I'm going to pretend of my 6 total units closed year to date, 2 occurred in Q1 and 4 occurred in Q2. So already I can begin to see it's not so even, Steven. I don't just get to take my annual goal and divide it by 12 months or 4 quarters and expect it to work and play out perfectly even. It doesn't work like that, you guys. Well, Jake, how does it work? Next section. It's something called, or we've called, I guess, the 65-35 rule. Some of you know what the 80-20 rule or 80-20 principle is. What is that, by the way? Who can articulate? What is the 80-20 rule? It says what? 20% of my effort or activities generates what?
80% of your results.
80% of my results. Interesting. So not everything matters equally. There's a difference between me spending an hour on lead generation versus me spending an hour creating a flyer. That's what that suggests. It's no different here. Certain quarters are weighted differently. Surprise, surprise. So if you thought your goal of closing 24 homes this year and you told yourself, oh, all I need to do is close 2 homes a month, lickety split, I can do that. You're kidding yourself. I'm sorry. Like, if you're doing it, please tell us your secrets. It just rarely works out that way. What I have found, and I was a skeptic of all skeptics when somebody shared this with me 10 plus years ago, until I figured maybe I should put my ego aside and listen to this individual who's clearly smarter than me and put it to the test. And sure enough, it was very scary accurate for my business. And this 65-35 rule suggests that for each of you, and it varies, but for each of you, odds are 2 quarters will represent 65% of your annual production, which means the other 2 quarters represent 35% of your annual production. And if you subscribe to this idea, I just dispelled the myth that everything is going to work perfectly. It doesn't. Seasonality for some of you, especially some of my partners down there in Southwest Florida, man, you know who you are. Seasonality is real. It's not an excuse, but it is real. Okay? So my question to you is, historically speaking, which of the 4 quarters are generally the best 2 for you in your business? Do you know that? Therefore, the other 2 quarters are the slower quarters. Now, where I come from, and most of you around the country, not all of you, and it definitely does vary, but just for today, I'm going to assume Q2 and Q3 are the best-selling quarters for a lot of you. If you're going to make hay, it's going to happen in April, May, June, July, August, September. The first quarter and the last quarter for a lot of you tend to be a little bit slower. All right? So for me, if I'm using this 35%, 65% rule, well, now I can start to see things for what they are. So in my business, I'm going to say Q1 and Q4 are my slower month or quarters, the 35 percenters. Well, up here, I already did the math. 18 times 65% is 12. I need 12 closings in my best 2 quarters. And 18 times 35% means 6 of my closings will come in the other 2 quarters. Applying that in real world scenario, well, up above here, Q1, which I've labeled one of my slower quarters, is already done. It's already in the books. I have data. So I'm going to bump that number down here below. Q1 closings year to date equals 2. Therefore, in Q4, I need 4 more. Because I said 6 closings were going to come out of my slower quarters. Is this making sense so far? I hope you're seeing, wow, in this case, if this was true for you, that's still in the windshield. I've got time. I've got things I can do today to get 4 closings between October, November, and December. I'm not behind. Hell, if anything, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Insert mindset shift. Okay? Let's finish this out. Then the 65% quarters, the best 2 quarters for your business. In my case, I'm going to say Q2 and Q3. Well, Q2's behind me. I can log that. That's 4. I closed 4 in Q2, which means now July, August, September, I got to get to work or look at my pipeline and see what do I have coming up that's going to chip away at this number of 8 more needed. How we doing out there? See heads nodding. Okay. Is anybody confused? I don't want to leave you behind. If you're calling BS on me, that's a different story, but we'll talk about that another time. All right. Assuming everybody's good. Again, I've got a blank one, but a lot of you I see scribing right now. That's cool. Go ahead and do it on your own sheet. This now allows me to reset, doesn't it? Like if this was your business, wouldn't that maybe shift some perspective for you? I'm not saying we get complacent. No, 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 no. But if I ask you again, where are you in relationship to goal? Having this type of knowledge, you may not be so quick to label yourself as an underperformer or say things like, I'm behind. I knew I shouldn't have set a goal that big. Right? That's the self-talk. That's the mindset thing that some of you mentioned earlier. I hope what I just shared with you actually excites you. I hope this makes you feel empowered that you're actually still in control and actually there's still plenty of time left on the clock to achieve your goal without feeling or convincing yourself that you're behind. Word? Word. You smelling what I'm stepping in? Yeah? Okay, good. I got to make sure you guys aren't falling asleep on me when I say weird stuff like that. Okay, let's move on. I said earlier, we're not done yet. Oh no, we're just getting started, gang. I said earlier, but it's right here again, just in case you missed it, how much time is left on the clock. I have time. I'm more in control than I maybe thought previously coming into today. Good news. Now here's where it gets fun. Just humor me, guys. You've heard me talk about the compound effect. You've heard me talk about time on task over time, so let's put it to the test. I promised you 12 transactions earlier, didn't I? Yes, I did. We said, we agree, there's 122 working days left in the year, yes? You're familiar with the 5 contacts a day concept. That's what we call the 5 to 25 challenge. So that would mean if you just stuck to it, you just were consistent. This is not hard. We're not digging ditches. We're not working for the DOT in 100-degree heat fixing buckles and roads like here in Wisconsin. No, no, no. We're just talking about talking to 5 people a day. Okay? That would be 610 conversations. Just a conversation awaiting you between now and the end of the year. Time on task over time. Well, if your math is anything like mine, in fact, a lot of you, you know who you are, outperform this number. I'm still sticking with it though to be conservative. Let's go with a 50 to 1 conversion rate. For every 50 conversations I have, it will eventually yield me 1 new piece of business. Might be a referral or doesn't matter, but a piece of business. That would be 2%. So now we take those 610 potential conversations that are awaiting you and divide it by a 50 to 1 contact to business ratio. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how I got the number of 12. 12. It's just math. I don't know what to tell. I mean, 12 closed and or pending under contract between now and the end of the year. Well, those 12, remember way up top when I used my example of my average GCI was 8250 per? I'm no math major, but let's just round up for fun. That's 100K. 100K. I don't know. What's going on here? I don't know. Somebody's trying to log in, hack into my stuff. Nope, we're going to deny them. See you, bye. Good Lord. Okay. I don't know if that showed on your screen or not, but it was on mine. No? Okay. I just got a notification. Last thing, 99 divided by those 610 contacts. If this is how you need to think about it, well, cool. The average value of a conversation, you guys, is $162.30 in my example. You're going to figure out what that looks like for your business. I mean, I don't know how else to break it down for you, but that's pretty darn cool. Did your last job pay you 162 bucks to talk to somebody? I doubt it. I doubt it. We're doing the thing, we're doing the activities, we're nurturing the relationships. Our impatience is what gets in the way. But when you can connect that conversation, good job, me. I just made money. The only difference is that money hasn't shown up in my bank account yet because I chose the path of real estate. And real estate is a path in a business of delayed gratification. If you're in the business of making a sale or talking to somebody and getting paid instantly, this is the wrong career for you. So we've got to play games with ourselves. We've got to find other wins and ways to look at this. Yes? One of which is my absolute favorite, looking at the average value of a contact. You tell me that if I go to talk to 5 people right now, even if they all tell me no, 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 don't ever call me again, I just rung the cash register, whatever 162.30 is times 5, I'm in. I'll play that game. Now I can go on the lake and boat and do whatever I feel like, I guess, for the rest of the day. But I got the most important thing done. Right? Right. Let me see your beautiful faces again. Let me check in. How are you guys feeling right now? I'm not quite done, but I know we're bumping time, but anybody just tell me what's going on in your mind and your heart right now. What's a feeling? What are you thinking right now?
I'm feeling excited like I did in the beginning of the year. I have been one to fall off my routine majorly. I'm with Service First
Mm,
and it's getting back on track. So me jumping into this and taking my notes has truly given me motivation, and I don't feel as bad as not hitting the goal that I had set. So I'm feeling
love it.
more motivated and excited.
Love that. Thank you so much, Rashawn. Fantastic, Stacey says. Motivated, the wheels are turning, inspired. Okay, good, good. So let me land the plane for us then. Again, you're going to get all of this, a summary, your own blank worksheet like I showed you mine. I'm going to get you all that. But I'm going to ask this again. What is so hard about this? I mean, really? We just strip out all the emotion. What is so hard about talking to 5 people a day? Insert excuse, 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 but no, no, no. What I, you can't tell me having 5 conversations that are purposeful every day is hard. We got to find some perspective sometimes. We're not talking about, like I said, working for the DOT in 100-degree heat. We're not talking about digging dishes for a living. That is hard work. We're simply talking about proactively having conversations with people and putting ourselves out there a little bit to capture opportunities. What I've learned is if it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not important to you, then you will find an excuse. Jessica Swaffer, bring it.
It's not hard. I think what is hard, and you just said it, is you'll find a way. And I think finding the way that works for you is the most freeing thing that somebody can do, because then it becomes very simple. It just goes, oh, I like talking to people in this manner. So that's what I'm going to go do every single day. And
That's right.
until people really hone in on that, I think that's what keeps them fearful of what are they going to say? How am I going to do
Yeah.
this? I'm too busy. I have 5 other things I could be doing instead. So
Right.
that's what I think.
Yep. Well said. I'll add to that. Yes, I believe the challenging part to answer maybe my own question is recognizing awareness again that what is easy to do is also easy not to do because we fall victim to the simplicity here. We find excuses and reasons to make this more complicated than it really is. After all, it couldn't be that simple, could it? What if it was? The goal here today, I hope I communicate, is not to encourage you to do more, 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 work more hours, make more No. In fact, I'd love it if you worked less. How about that? The goal, however, is to work the next 122 working days, 976 working hours with more focus than ever before, more focus and intention than the first 6 months. That's my goal for you. What if everything truly on your calendar from here forward was treated with the same importance that you'd give $1 million listing appointment? What if you only allowed things on your top 20% priority list to show up on your calendar and you were disciplined to say no to the rest? What if you actually cut out excuses and stopped overcomplicating things so then you can hide behind that complexity as justification for future failures? Let me ask you this. I'm going to just bear with me a couple more minutes or so. How would earning, you don't have to answer this, but think about this. How would earning that 6 figures, 12 units, 6 figures in the next 6 months change your life? I want you to assign an emotion. I want you to assign a meaning to that. How would it change your life? What would you do with that money? I also want you to think about who else is counting on you. See you, Joanna. Who else is counting on you to do this? And I finally, one last one, I want you to consider what is at stake if you don't. What is, you have awareness now. What's at stake if you don't take action? What's at stake if you just go back to the way you were doing things in the first half of the game? No adjustments made. Are you even in the business 6 months from now? What kind of Christmas holidays do you have? Are you still stressing about money? Looking ahead, I want you to ask just a couple questions, Nen. That's reflective. Now we're looking ahead. What is it that you need to commit to daily? Hopefully for all of you, most of you, you're saying 5 to 25, like actually do it. Where do you need to be more intentional? We asked you, wrote that down earlier. And lastly, what are the non-negotiables that you're willing to be held accountable to moving forward? Do you welcome that level of accountability into your world? I'm going to close it out by saying this. Give me 2 extra minutes if you can. If you need to log off, that's fine. I'll be done here in just 2 minutes. Locker Room Nation. First of all, thank your leadership. Whoever invited you here, they're investing in you. You're investing in you by being here. Don't take that for granted. Okay. But I want to stress that success, however defined by you, is simple, but not always easy. Okay. So a lot of times it is simpler than we give it credit to, like evidence of today. And sometimes success looks boring. It looks repetitious. I think Jessica said that earlier. And we just sometimes need to accept the boredom associated with mastering something. Some could say there isn't particularly anything interesting about having 5 conversations per day. But I hope, at least for you, the conversations themselves are interesting. But maybe we should stop worrying about being the most interesting person in the world and shift our perspectives to being the most interested person in others. 1/2 of this game is gone. Bye-bye. Over. We're back in the locker room. I got the lockers behind me to prove it. Those are real. It's not just a backdrop. Somebody here thought it was a virtual backdrop. No, those are real. We've reflected a little bit on what's working, what's not working. You're here to establish a new game plan, and we're going to do that next week. Your job, though, is to get out in the second half and go kick some you-know-what. Are you ready to get your jersey dirty? Real estate is a contact sport. Got to go talk to people. That's what getting our jersey dirty looks like. Are you ready to work the next, 122 working days with more focus than ever before? So once and for all, you cut out the you-know-what, all the excuses, and you actually took a stance for yourself and for your family. I can guarantee you that if you work the next 6 months with more focus than ever before, it will change your life forever. Not an exaggeration, not hyperbole, fact. Most people end up dragging this thing on and they limp their way through excuses. That ain't us. That's not Locker Room. That's not you. That's not me. We're better than that. Your success, whatever that means, is not going to be any more convenient for you 6 months from now than it is right now today. I don't care what's going on in the political world, who's in the White House, what the stock market is doing today. Take ownership, take control. There's never a perfect time. The time is now. Okay? Is the formula that we put together today overly simplified? Is it unrealistic? Well, the only way you can answer that is if we truly have time on task over time, not taking a single day off where you fell short of the 5 quality conversations. But then and only then do I want you to tell me in 6 months that I was either a complete dum-dum or maybe, just maybe, there's some simple genius going on here. Okay. So if you accept my challenge, I want you to type in the chat right now. I want you to say, I'm all in. I'm all in the chat. Let me see you. Flood the zone. Say, I'm all in. I want to know who's ready to commit to the process. Look at that. Look at that. And you guys, in closing, as my college baseball coach always said to us players prior to taking the field, we put our hands in the huddle right before we break and take the field. He would say, boys, have fun, stick together, and go play like champions. We're going to be talking more about that next week. If you come back here, same Zoom, same time next week for the second part of our halftime training here, where I'm going to share and break down each one of those. Are you having fun? What does sticking together mean? What does that look like for you? And what does playing like a champion? What is the DNA of a champion? But never forget, like I said, real estate is a contact sport. So let's go get our jerseys dirty. Thank you. And get out there and go freaking talk to 5 people today and do it again tomorrow. All right? We love you. We're here for you. I'll see you next week. And I'm here if you need anything. In the meantime, let's go locker room. See ya. Thanks for coming.